Hello, welcome to another episode of the Horror Vision Horror Podcast. I'm Sean,
Ray.
And I'm Chris.
and we may be joined later by Tori. And also, there's a possibility for Anthony. So Anthony couldn't make it tonight, but he sent me his list because tonight, gents, we're doing, as you know, our best of 2020, best horror of 2020 in our opinions. So Ray, why don't you start?
Let me see here. I'll start with Underwater, directed by William Eubank, because it's a perfect example of a movie that, like, from all of the advertisements and everything, I felt like I had seen before, and like none of the ads were drawing me in. And then you and Anthony and I forget who else, maybe Tori, saw it and were like, "Oh, you have to see this. It's so good." And then I saw it and it just blew me away. Like it's a total thrill ride. Total thrill ride. Like it just grabs you from the moment go. It doesn't stop. It doesn't slow down. And then it has this great little turn at the end of it that you're like, "Oh shit, was that what I thought it was?"
Yeah.
Oh my God. So it's a lot of fun. It moves quickly and it really exceeded my expectations for it, which is why it's on my list.
Yeah,
So-
it is. It is also on mine as well.
Mine as well. Yeah, I think, and also I know that the ending has been spoiled by every online everything, but let's not actually say the ending just in case there's any holdout, because that was one of the highlights of my year. Now, granted, that's look at the year, but I mean, seeing that in the theater, even if this had been a normal great year, the joy. The absolute joy the first time I saw. I
was the exact same way. I was watching it and I thought this is a pretty good movie, and then just that twist at the end. Bruce Willis was dead the whole time. I couldn't believe it. I was like, okay, this just went from 3 stars to 4. No, but I really did enjoy the film. Just the atmosphere, the cast was great.
Yeah, really great.
There were definitely a couple things that I would have tweaked personally, or that I would have liked to have seen more of.
I remember you saying specific things.
Yeah, not specifically involving like the twist at the end, but kind of like the foreshadowing to the twist. I would have liked. After the fact, of course, I understand why they didn't show you as much, because you would have called it, straight away. But after, like on a rewatch, it's like, okay, I already know what's coming. So I wish that that there would have been a little bit more in there to feed into the mythos that the film portrays. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you what, though. I mean, I still can't believe that they, in a big budget, studio movie, that they let that fly.
Yeah, I agree.
It was an $80 million Hollywood movie, which it looks like didn't make.
No, I don't think it did that well.
Yeah, at least box office wise. But you know what, though? Didn't this movie did come out, I think, right at the onset of COVID.
No, it was before. It was the dumping ground, man. It was like the end of January, I think. It was one of those where I remember seeing the trailer before the turn of the year, mm-hmm. and thinking I might see it. I remember the first time I saw the trailer, I was like, wow, the most boring title for a movie ever. Underwater. Ooh, but and I remember thinking, they're dumping this. Anything January, February is usually like, yeah, it's just dump it. So we're actually lucky we got a fucking theatrical release, honestly, because these days they'll just, it probably costs enough. If it had cost a little bit less, they probably wouldn't have. They would have just, sent it straight to fucking pay-per-view or whatever. Or
yeah, very true.
Ray, is this list in any kind of chronological order? Like, are you starting at your number 6 and working towards your number 1, or is this just, these are just 6, take whatever?
Yeah, I guess I am, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's weird. Although I would have put this.
It's your list. Put it wherever you want it, man.
Okay. Let's see. Next. Well, no particular order.
Okay.
The Babysitter Killer Queen. Just because I really enjoyed the first one, and I thought this was a lot of fun too. I got exactly what I wanted out of the sequel. More fun kills, more comedy, more, I don't know. And plus the character, that lead character is really easy to root for, So
The kid, I say kid, he's probably in his 20s.
I think it actually is a kid though. Like I think he is actually supposed to be that actual age too.
Let me see. His name is Judah Lewis, and he is 20 years old.
Oh,
he just has one of those baby faces.
I haven't seen that. I need to see it.
I saw it as well. It was fun. It was definitely, they really leaned into the camp on this one. So if you enjoyed, the camp of the first Babysitter, then you'll definitely enjoy this. But if you go into this expecting kind of more of I don't want to say serious, but just a little bit more of a kind of grittier, it's a film by McG.
Right. Well, I mean, the first one's not gritty by any means, but definitely, I feel like the first one, the magic. Obviously, really the thing with let's just be honest here. I'm not even saying Samara Weaving, but her acting definitely. But the character is written in a way, and that kid, you go in through that kid as he's kind of your window into the world, and it's kind of, they make you feel the wonderment of falling in love with the old, for the first time in a way, but not oh, we're in high school and I'm dating this girl and we're in love, but that young boy babysitter, which I know that sounds like a fucking right on the edge Lifetime movie or something, but I mean she's amazing. I feel like everybody that watches the movie falls in love with her. I feel like my girlfriend fell in love with her. She was just so fucking cool. And then it, obviously it flips and it gets as gritty as McG is probably going to get, but it just, everything about that first one works so fucking well, and it's because of that character. Well, it's both those characters, but really, Samara Weaving just fucking nails it.
Bad Hair, directed and written by Damien. I thought the thing I think about it is that it feels like a good intro horror movie. If you have somebody that either isn't super into horror or is a young person and they're I want to watch horror movies, it feels like something they could watch and get into. Plus I thought the sociological message about racial beauty standards was pretty interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
It was interesting to have that in a horror film. Horror movies deal with so many different things and so many different social issues in hidden ways, and it was just another way to get to that point of and it's something that when I was watching it, I thought to myself, well, that makes sense. I feel like I've seen that kind of idea before of only if your hair was nice and flowy, then you could be, but it's not. So just the standard, the beauty standards of whiteness is applied to blackness. It was an interesting concept. And, you think about, I'm trying to think of a good example. I don't know, maybe a Beyonce as compared to another singer. She's so big, but, can't help but think she's got this long, silky blonde hair. And I wonder if she had a really tight, small afro, would she still be a talented singer? Absolutely. But would she be as successful? Hard to say.
Yeah, right. Man, you've seen the third Austin Powers movie when she was Foxy Cleopatra.
Was that
that was her with the big afro?
I never saw that, but I didn't realize that her career went back that far. Or I guess I did, because she was in whatever that
Destiny's Child.
Yeah, that's it. The Destiny's Child, whatever year that was, they released a home video thing with that's my number one horror movie of that year.
Oh,
didn't even make it through. terrified the whole time.
That makes sense.
You've never seen the Splatterhouse movie, Destiny's Afterbirth.
Ooh.
I'd rather see it than this. Okay. Sorry, I'm not a fan of fake R&B. I like real R&B. Anyway,
Okay.
yeah, dude, Bad Hair is a good pull, man. I thought a lot about that movie when I made my list, and also just the time period. I'm like, who the fuck puts their horror movie in this milieu, like this time and that VJ. It's just such a weird.
Yeah, I think 1989 is the year it takes place.
But even just like the fact that it's like that, like I forget, it's like the VJs and it's that particular channel and they're like the genre and it's just so.
Well, it feels like the heyday of MTV just before.
Yeah.
Before they got into, because I think it was like 89 or something was the first Real World, and it was like just before they got into like everything being Real World or
everything.
Still doing music videos.
Yeah.
So they were still like, it was still about like being a VJ and like showing music videos and having this music, and it was it's just before that tipping point. So you're right.
That was back when we'd have Kurt Loder every half hour giving us the music news.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah. But I mean, that was the heyday of MTV Raps.
Yeah.
120 minutes with Matt Pinfield, right? Matt Pinfield. Yeah. Headbangers Ball.
Good call.
Wow.
Yeah, that was
Ricky Rackman.
Yeah, back when music television played music.
Yep.
Exactly.
Wow. What else you got, Ray?
Let's see. Well, considering what you said at the beginning, because I believe this was either a wide release in 2020 versus 2019, which is when it was technically released. There's two movies that I'm going to say, one is Z.
Oh, yeah.
And the other one is Daniel Isn't Real, because they kind of deal with the same concepts. But they're so different from each other.
Yeah.
And so
They're
unique.
both excellent.
There's not a whole lot of horror movies that are like that, and they're just really well done and like excellently acted. And I mean, Daniel Isn't Real is great because it has a monster that is present on the screen the whole time. So he's almost like a human in that he doesn't seem monstrous. And it becomes a lot easier to trust him or think of him in a way that isn't. Whereas Z, he's almost completely absent. You see him like briefly for like 3 or 4 at times, I think. I think it's maybe 4.
I think it might be max 3 even. I don't even know that it's more than that.
But he's such a presence. It's such a presence. It's such a frightening concept. I think the only other thing that I could similarly compare that kind of like where you're just like, ooh, I feel like, like you're like the characters. You're like, there's something there and it's bothering me, but I can't pinpoint where or what it is.
Right.
And maybe the host, because the host has that whole presence missing the entire time. But I mean, it's really effective too.
Wait, are you talking about the host or host? Host is the
host.
Okay, the Zoom one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I just really enjoyed them. It's such a fresh take on the whole concept of the imaginary friend. I'm surprised that nobody has really mined that material before.
Well, I feel like it's zeitgeist now because there's Z and that, and there's at least one other one. I think it's called Come Play.
Oh yeah,
with the autistic child.
Yes, yeah. I never got a chance to see that. I feel like it didn't get a bigger. Last I looked, it was still one of those theatrically priced, early access movies.
I think it got released where it could, and then it got put, but at the same time it was released as a streaming. But I think that one started as a creepypasta. The whole, you download an app and it comes with a monster thing.
Really? Okay. Yeah. I didn't realize that.
internet story.
Interesting. I did not realize that.
I believe so, yeah. Because I feel like when I heard about that film and then did a little bit into it, like they were talking about how a creepypasta became a film.
Well, looking into it, it looks like Jacob Chase, the writer director, he actually he made it as a film, a feature-length adaptation of his short film that was called Larry.
Yeah. Wait, what was the title? Sorry.
Larry.
Yeah. There was an interview with him in one of the last two Fangorias. It was really interesting. He actually really went out of his way to be accurate about like the autism aspect of it, because he didn't want to be disrespectful, and also I think he felt it was like not only underrepresented, but like just it seemed like it was a challenge for him to do a good, like a fair, like an accurate, honest representation of what's a child with autism's life is like, and then apply this horror movie scenario to it. And I thought that was really interesting, because he talked a lot about not wanting to, like, because you could see how that could be a crutch for a horror movie, right? And he talked specifically about how he didn't want it to be. I don't remember if he used those words, but that was my takeaway. So it really made me want to see it. But, you know, I understand, like, I want to do my part, and I feel like I do, as far as like supporting, you know, movies right now. But part of that is I do rent so many things that I don't rent anything that's $20. That's why I haven't seen Freaky, because it's just like I'll wait till it comes down in price. Now, if I was going to watch one of the two for $20 at home, it would be Come Play, because it, you know, Freaky is killing it. You know, no pun intended.
I get it. I totally get it. I mean, it's just hard to pay for that. Okay.
It's nice seeing things in a timely manner, but is it really worth paying more than an admission to a movie theater where you have the giant screen?
Yeah.
You know, you have the great audio, and, you know, just to watch something at home for the convenience of. So it's really something you have to weigh out, you know.
Definitely.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there is something to be said for the movie-going experience. Like,
oh man. What else you got, Ray?
Well, and I'll get down to my last two here. One is Synchronic by Benson and Moorhead. Really liked it. It's not quite horror. It's horror adjacent, but I think what edges it in is that it's a time travel movie, but it's a time travel movie as a bad drug trip. Yeah. And it's such a cool concept. It's such a cool way of dealing with the whole time travel concept as just like bad drug trip. And they just are getting better with every movie they make. I mean, and they start so well. They started with Spring, and then their talent is increasing every time they make a film, and they're getting more and greater talent to join their films and be in them and star in them and act in them, and it's really showing. And it's a shame that it had to come out this year, because it could have been the movie that might have springboarded them, because it had a big name in it. But let's hope that, you know, for the next film that comes along, that will be the one that pushes them over into like really big.
Let's just hope it's not as cuckoo as the last one.
Yeah. What, the year? Sean is losing it. What's going on?
You're sitting in the cuckoo clock room again.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You constantly give the finger to me as an editor, Ray. Just constantly.
No, you know what? Hey, it wouldn't be 2020 without a few cuckoos thrown in there.
That's true. I'm leaving it in. That's your signature now, Ray. Your signature is now the cuckoo clock. In fact, whenever we do these on Zoom, if you're not in the cuckoo clock room, I'm disconnecting you. So there we go.
No, you know what we have to do? We have to start it at an exact time, so that way the cuckoo kind of acts like the Academy Awards. That's like the wrap it up, Ray. That's just when you hear the cuckoo. Okay, you got another 2 minutes. Wrap it up.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
But no, Sin Chronic was a really good film. Yeah, I will piggyback on what you said with Benson and Moorhead. Every movie they're making, they are getting bigger and better. You know,
Yeah.
and it gets more ambitious with every film. They keep trying to push what it is they can do with the funds that they have available to them. And it's great that they're, you know, since they are getting more experience and they are getting more things out there, that they are starting to get, you know, a bigger and better talent pool to work with. You know, I think this one had Jamie Dornan and Anthony Mackie.
Yeah. All right, you got one more?
Yeah, my last one is Possessor by Brandon Cronenberg. It's
of the New Hampshire Cronenbergs, right?
No, of David's son. What's impressive, it's his sophomore effort. It's only his second film, but he is really cementing himself as one of those guys with super talent. And it's not like he's piggybacking off of his father's career. It's not like he's piggybacking off of things that his father could do. He's, again, he's just a lot more subtle. He's a lot more thoughtful. He's a lot more intense in a weird way. I mean, that's hard to say because like his father's David Cronenberg, and people go like, "Well, how can make something more intense than David Cronenberg?" And you have to see it and to experience it. He's just willing to be, I don't know, maybe a lot more dramatic or a lot more slow paced in how he tells stories, but effective. I think he's got a lot of talent, and I think we can expect more good things from him.
Oh yeah, and I don't think it'll take 8 years.
Well, with him as well too. You know, you got to figure. You know, his father. You know, he created his own style. He really, he really honed his own craft. And then his son, you know, he grew up in that same household, so he was absorbing all that stuff. You know, probably from the time he could walk.
Yeah. Oh,
so when it's his time to step out there, you know, into the light, you know, he really gets the chance to shine.
Definitely. I don't want to truncate this, but Anthony has joined us, and I don't know how much time Anthony has, so I want to just – and we're at the end of your list anyway, so this is perfect timing. Perfect timing. No, we're at the end of your list.
I'll just go fuck myself.
Hi, Anthony.
What's going on, man?
Howdy.
So, throw us your list.
It's a quick one.
Oh, no!
Oh, wow. Was that actually him? Or was it?
No, that was it. That was the quick one.
Damn. I guess he didn't like any movies this year. Oh, he's fucking with us.
He's back.
Real quick, I just got a quick top 5 on account. I haven't seen a good majority of the stuff that's been floating around out there lately. I know a lot of folks have, you know, put a lot of time and money into, you know, seeking out a lot of the new stuff. There's a handful of stuff that came out earlier this year that, you know, I don't want to forget about. One of them is Underwater. Underwater's fucking phenomenal film. Shouldn't be forgotten. Still should be watched. Still should be enjoyed. The other one's going to be, just because it's near and dear to my heart, is Tremor 5 Shrieker Island. Because fuck everybody else. I'm going to go with also The Invisible Man for this year, which was just outstanding. I'm sure you guys have spoken on it so far. It's an incredible flick. Let's see, what else did I have here? My number one for the year is still The Lodge. The Lodge, just, you know, creepy fucking atmosphere, being, you know, kind of held captive by your own mental state, and then watching that from another party's view deteriorate, and then being also caught by that is just fucking mind-blowing. I think there was one more on there. I really can't remember what the hell. I said it to you earlier, actually.
You did. Host.
It was all out of order, too. The Host. Yeah, The Host. Shudder's The Host. You know, great hours with the fun. You know, brand new platform to do it on. It's not like it's found footage thing hasn't been done before, but in this style, it's still fairly new. I think it's only really been touched upon once before within the VHS series. Yeah, fucking great little flick. I mean, it's on par with, like, you know, most Paranormal Activity movies where, you know, if you're afraid of, you know, shaking pots and pans and doors opening and closing, then, you know, that's up your alley. But I will say that, you know, the amount of dread and sense of, like, tension and fear that it created, also, you know, dabbling a little bit within the supernatural realm, you know, added greatly to its story and its punch, considering, like I said, it was only an hour long. Yeah, but those are like my tops for the year. I'm literally, like, I've got maybe 20 minutes left of Possessor so far. Pretty damn good. Interesting. Weird as shit. I am enjoying it. Yeah, I am enjoying it thus far. I hope the ending is good.
You'll like
Yeah, just wait for the twist when you find out that Bruce Willis was dead the whole time.
Yeah, the whole time.
You did it. You had to do it. You had to spoil it. Well, guess
Sorry.
what? Macaulay Culkin was never truly home alone.
No,
Oh.
that's true.
Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
Bruce Willis was there.
Yeah,
Bruce
Snape.
Willis was there in spirit. I just had a couple of minutes, guys. I wanted to stop in and you know, give my contribution real quick.
Cool.
And I'm
Well,
going to
cheers.
get back to, likewise. And hope everybody's got a great, you know, New Year's coming. I'm sure I'll talk to y'all beforehand. And to the listeners, I hope you guys had a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all of you as well. Stay safe and you guys take care.
Right on, man.
See you later.
Hopping on.
Take care.
Deuces.
See you, bud.
I just watched Host earlier today.
It's good, right? Like, it's
What I was going to add is that it's like a perfect movie for right now, because I mean, it's literally taking place during COVID. Like, they're all shut down. They're all in quarantine. They're all like, it's just a group of friends that have decided to get together and see each other on Zoom. And I think the shortness of the film makes sense, because I mean, we've all been on the, you know, maybe not all of us, but those who've used Zoom and use the free have found out that, like, you only get like the 50 minutes, 40 minutes, and then it's done and it ends. And you're like, well, I guess that's it for today. So it makes sense that the film is that long, you know?
yeah, right. They really build in a lot of that stuff. And it was still, I forget when it came out, but it was still where Zoom was like, you know, like we were using it, but I don't feel like it had settled in as like completely an everyday thing that people were comfortable with yet, you know? So it was still, I don't know, there were learning curves, and it really worked on a lot of levels. It was perfect. Chris, you want to go next? Before you do, I just want to say Tori is probably not going to make it, but she wanted, I asked her if she wanted to give it like her favorite or a list. She just said VFW all the way for the win, and she loves Bigos more and more. And I can't more. So there you have it. Tori's favorite is VFW. Good choice. Chris, you want to do it?
And finally,
Yeah. Yeah, so let me see. So, of course, I think going with the consensus here on my list is going to be Underwater. So I'm not going to dive into that one anymore.
oh, I like the double entendre.
Yeah, you like that? You like that?
Wordplay.
Let me see. Okay, so also on my list was supposed to be a 2019 film, but it got pulled from the theaters and its release date due to controversy, and then it was ultimately released in March, was The Hunt.
Oh.
Yeah, that one I thought was a lot of fun, and it had a good little twist on the whole, rich elite, hunting people, which is, a trope that you see a lot in like the Hostel films and, things like that. And it was a lot of fun. And just from the marketing where they show you a lot of the big stars in it, then you go to watch the movie just to see that a lot of those big stars get wiped out real quick. And it's like, oh, wait, this isn't what I thought it was going to be going into it. Yeah, and it had a lot of sharp, witty banter in there, and it was nice seeing all of the kind of bumbling and all the mistakes that are made by the antagonists. Yeah, all in all, it was an entertaining flick, I thought.
I still need to see it.
Well, then see it.
Honestly, I forgot about it. It's so funny. I'm thinking this is such a, I mean, this has become cliche now where everybody says this about 2020, where it's like both this like super long, like super hyper extended of the perception of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like, I mean, I'm finding a lot of movies are getting lost in the crevices of this year. And that was totally one of them. Until I saw you put that on your list, it had literally passed right out of my phone.
Yeah. I mean, I think tone wise, I think it would make a great double feature with from I think 2018 maybe the Belko experiment.
Mm-hmm. Did I see? No, I haven't seen that. I need to see that.
Oh man, you know what? I think we might have to do a Belko Hunt double feature.
That would be cool. That would be really cool.
Yeah, maybe on a mask wearing 6 feet apart Cineray.
That would be cool.
Yeah, you hear that, Ray?
he's adjusting the cuckoo clock.
Yeah, he's
which is not a euphemism, or maybe it is. I don't
know. little from column A and a little from column B.
What else you got? What else is on your list, Chris?
I have Spree. Did you ever get a chance?
I want to see this so bad.
Yeah, Spree. So that actually came out right at the. Actually, it came out. It premiered right in the beginning, right in January, but it wasn't released until it did a theatrical VOD simultaneous thing in August. But it's starring everybody's favorite babysitter / surrogate mother. Stranger Things is Joe Carey.
Oh, it's Steve, right? The hair guy.
Yeah, it's Steve. And just the whole premise is about it's about this guy who he's obsessed with being a social media star and going viral. And this kid that he used to babysit, suddenly he became like an internet star who makes live streams and has all these views, and it makes him really, really jealous. And he just kind of snaps one day, and he's basically like an Uber driver for a company that's called Spree. And he outfits his car up with cameras and begins a live stream, and he just starts killing people and starts going viral, just going on a big murder crime spree. And it's great. It's kind of like the millennial version of American Psycho is what it really had those kind of feelings of.
That's really interesting.
It's very scary in a lot of ways, because you watch it and you're like, as outlandish as what actually happens in the film is, the premise itself is definitely something that you could see happen, and in some ways has happened. I can remember, was it a year ago, 2 years ago, there was the whole thing with, was it New Zealand maybe, where a gunman was live streaming and he went into, I think, a mosque and just started.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that happened. And, there's just been all sorts of these little things that happen. But fortunately, a lot of the social media, they're pretty prompt about shutting that stuff down. But, obviously people still are able to capture and reshare, and things still do go viral in their own sense. But just with the modern day mentality of everybody has to be on the internet. Yeah. Everybody has to blow up. And I do see the irony of me, picking at this as we're doing an internet podcast.
Yeah, of course, right. Right.
Yeah, which, by the way, if you haven't yet, go check out our Patreon. A lot of good stuff on there. But no, it's a good film. There's a lot of good kills. I don't want to say good kills, but a lot of kills in there. And but yeah, it'll definitely make you think.
I had not heard of it until maybe 2 months ago, maybe. The director, Eugene.
No, go ahead. Try it. Eugene
Katlarenko was on. Brady Snells had him on his podcast, and he talked about it. And so it's interesting. I had not even picked up the whole. The thing with American Psycho is Patrick Bateman isn't motivated by fame, but he's motivated. The killing is a byproduct. The book is really about his obsession with wealth and like status, right? And and it's totally spearing the 80s, that whole yuppie 80s mentality.
Yeah. Greed is good.
Yeah, and so there's an element of that there. So I didn't even realize the irony of him being on the Brady Snellis podcast, right? The other thing is, listening to you describe it, it dawns on me, man, I feel like I really want to watch that and then watch Natural Born Killers. Because I knew even when Natural Born Killers came out that Oliver Stone had this, like, it was a predictive model basically. But that movie's all about, I remember having to explain this to people that had seen it that just didn't get it, that just thought that it was like violence for the sake of violence. And it's like, well, no, it's about how do you become famous in America? You kill people. I mean, I feel like everything about that movie, that's what he's saying in big, large, glowing, flashing letters. And this sounds like okay, so take that movie and the concept and advance it 30 years and this is what you get.
Oh, definitely. And it hasn't changed. America is still 100% like that.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you take a look at, the top 10 podcasts, month by month. It is true crime.
Yeah.
It is serial killers. It is, it's people, it's documentaries. There's all sorts of stuff that is constantly in, it right in our field of vision everywhere we go. And we, as Americans, and I can't speak for the rest of the world, but we gobble it up. Yeah. I mean, I think it's worldwide, but I think it's particularly virulent here. I think that it feeds it's the snake eating its own tail. I mean, it's why it's, if somebody asked you why is the intensity meter constantly being raised in America for the last 30 or 40 or 50 years, really since shortly after World War II, I guess. Well, let's say since Vietnam. Let's just say it that way. No. I mean, you can go back. Since that post World War II. I mean, really, you can go all the way back to what was his H. Holmes. He's credited as the first American serial killer.
Oh well, but I'm thinking like actually. It's media. It's all media based. So really, I feel like it's really begun to rise since media, not just TV, but like news media. Like, look, once we got the 24-hour news cycle after 9/11, I feel like there's an exponential jump, right? And it's because it's constantly feeding people, and now with Twitter and everything, it's just like it's endless.
But I mean, there's always been that fascination with that aspect,
Yes,
even if you go back to the 50s with Ed Gein, and then, with the novel based on Ed Gein, Psycho, which then got turned into Alfred Hitchcock's most famous film.
Right. Yeah, definitely. What else you got on your list?
Let me see. I got two more on here. I have Freaky, which was Christopher Landon. I actually touched on this one a bit on a previous episode. Christopher Landon, it was his take on Freaky Friday, with the cravat that instead of, body switching with a parent, you're body switching with a serial killer.
It looks hysterical, man. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was in that same tone of Happy Death Day, which Landon also made. But it vibed more so with the Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, in the sense that it was, unlike the Happy Death Day films he made, it was back to being an R-rated.
Right.
So the gore's there. The language is there, because there's nothing that takes me out of a horror film when I realize it's PG-13 when people are getting murdered, there's no blood, and people are just like, oh, let's get out of here, as opposed to as opposed to what the fuck, get the fuck out of here, fucking run, which would be real.
Yeah, which would absolutely be real.
But I really enjoyed this film, how it kind of went through the different decades. You got a story from the 50s, you got a story from the 60s, you got one from the 70s, and then of course you have your overall story that ties them all together. And I love seeing those kind of films where you get a character or two from the different segments that pop up in other ones. Trick or Treat is a perfect example of that. And this was a Shudder original, I believe. So if you get a chance, there's the cuckoo, so my time is running out.
I think when I watched it, because I watched it the day it dropped, and I think I messaged you. I think within the first 5 minutes, I was like, Chris is gonna fucking love this movie. I just knew it.
Well, and also too, one thing that I really, really enjoyed was the music.
Yeah, it had such a Neil Gaiman, feel to, I don't know, it was so your wheelhouse completely.
Oh yeah, definitely. But the music behind it had it had a great timeless horror score to it, but also there were lots of original songs in it too, and all the music was done. But they were original songs, but they were original songs in the key of that era. That I'm listening to it, I'm like, this is a good song. What song is this? Like, I'm trying to remember. I got to look this up. Wait, what? This is a brand new song? But it was done by the musical group, the Mondo Boys. It's a composer duo, and they consider themselves as blending a hybrid of timeless melodies into the bleeding edge of modern day film music, and that's exactly what they do.
I was just going to say that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they're actually on Spotify. They have some good stuff on there.
I'll definitely check that out.
I meant to put that movie on my list. I really like that one too. I thought it was hard.
It was hard not. It was hard to keep it off my list.
Well, there was a lot. And the thing was that I was trying to be concise, but if I had my druthers, I'd throw that on there, and I'd also throw Scare Package on there. I really like that. It was another good anthology. I thought it was a lot of fun, and the thing about I love that character of the girl in the Mortuary Collection, because she's almost like some parts of the audience, because she has the thing of like, well, didn't see that coming. Oh, geez, that's scary. Like, she's working as part of the audience. Like, she's that person who would watch it and be like, whatever. And because it's
what else you got? That's not scary. Come on.
Really cool. But I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. I thought that was a good time. That is another perfect.
Now, I have to look up to see again who that main actress was, because she was good.
Yeah.
Hannah Lloyd, I think is her name. Looks like she hasn't really done a whole lot beyond a couple episodes of that TV show Grimm that
you watched that.
That ended a couple of years back.
That's the reason I wasn't watching anymore.
But she did a few episodes of that, and then she did 3 little shorts, and then this is kind of her first feature length thing that she's done. So I hope that
she'll do more,
that we get some more stuff out of her.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said for a good anthology, for good, just good grouping of
And that
just-
one really, like, it was really well done.
Yeah.
Now, what was pretty funny to me, though, was there was one segment, I think it was the third segment, really reminded me a lot of an episode of Shudder's Creepshow revival that they did. The one where the guy, he has his, spoiler alert, not really, his dead wife in the elevator.
Yeah.
It really reminded me a lot of that one. Was it a Trisha Helfer episode of Creepshow, where she inadvertently kills her her coworker and then gets stuck in the elevator as well. Although this did take a little bit of a different turn, but it did have a lot of that same kind of plot points. But it had the pleasure of being slightly longer than Creepshow,
Right.
so you do get more of a story in there. And I think that kind of rounds out my top 5. So Sean, I know you got a bunch going on.
Well, so it's funny. I have, God damn, it was a really hard year, man. And like I said, stuff I didn't see slip through the cracks, but also stuff I did see slip through the cracks. So, case in point, as we're sitting here, Ray brought up a movie that I realized by my standard would count as a 2020, and I had to move some stuff around. So real quick, I'm just going to say I really liked His House on Netflix, but I'm removing it from the list. So it's like a runner-up addendum because the way I do this, it's like
Why?
I try to balance.
Why are you removing it from your list?
I'm removing it from my list because something else is replacing it that ultimately meant more to me. I don't know that it's a better movie. I mean, His House was just very impressive. But so I just want to give that a shout out. Also, VFW and Host both right on the cusp, but didn't quite get there. So this, then, gentlemen, is my top 10, and I'm gonna blow through them because we've talked about several of them. Oh, wait a minute! I just fucked that up because no, I didn't. Okay, so number 10, The Droving. I talked about this. I don't know, a couple months ago, Ray. I know you saw it. It's a small, quiet British film. There are probably people that would argue that it is not horror. I don't care. I think that it is. And this is just, man, I don't know. I just really like, it's not exactly British folk horror, but it definitely, I guess, has some of that because it's about a very small village on an island and a festival and some disappearances. And it's just, man, I thought it was so effective. I really liked it. Huh?
I feel like it's British folk horror.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
I love that that's a genre, British folk horror.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what you're talking about. Like, people could argue that, like, oh, it's not horror, but like, nah, I'm sorry. It is.
I agree. I mean, one of the things I feel like my definition of horror gets broader and broader. So, number 9, the Castle Freak remake.
I need to see that.
And man, I just tell you this: it's like there's some issues with some of the acting. I don't care. Like, I fucking loved it, and there is an element of it I feel like that is. I don't know if they'll be able to pursue it, but I get the impression the filmmakers and producers are interested in doing on a smaller scale with Lovecraft what Marvel is doing with their movies. And I think it would be fucking amazing, even if it is on this scale, because they really made that movie, like, they made what they had work. And I loved everything about it. It made me smile from ear to ear. And I don't know. I absolutely loved it. So it goes on the fucking list. And that's the thing. It's like, were there better movies? Yeah, His House was a better movie, but for my top 10, like it's Castle Freak. Number 8, Daniel Isn't Real. That's the one I had forgotten about it. And the funny thing is, so technically Color Out of Space is also this year. That wouldn't go on my top 10. I really liked it, but it just wouldn't go on my top 10. And I think that's primarily because of Nick Cage. Not that he's bad in any way, shape, or form. And not at all. He's not. But also this is one of those movies where, I saw Color Out of Space in September of 2019. So, but it wasn't widely available anywhere until
2020.
But I still think of Color Out of Space as a 2019 movie.
Well, I mean, you saw it at Fantastic Fest, right?
No, Beyond Fest. But
Beyond Fest, okay.
But I mean, I saw VFW too, and I'm able to, it's a weird, I don't know. There's no logic. It's just my internal whatever, which doesn't make a lot of sense. But the thing is, it was a double feature with Daniel Isn't Real, and I did not stay for Daniel Isn't Real because I had to work early the next day. And so I didn't see it till it hit Shudder, in the spring this year. But at any rate, it blew me away. I watched it, I think, 3 times. I think I watched it twice in one day and then again the next day. Like, it just blew me away. And it still slipped through when you brought that up earlier, Ray, I was like, oh my God, I forgot 100% about. And another movie that's not on any of my lists, I feel the same way. I feel like if I rewatch Relic, I feel like I might end up being like, how is that not on my list? But I watch it. I know I really liked it. Like, Kirsten's like, you really liked that movie. I'm like, but it's something about the time that has lapsed since then, since I watched it. It's faded in a way where I don't remember the effect. I only remember echoes of the effect. So is it fair to the movie? I don't fucking know. I mean, we can only do what we can do. So, yeah, but Daniel Isn't Real. It just absolutely blew me away. Everything about it. I thought it was absolutely great. And that face merge scene, I mean, I was speechless. 7, The Invisible Man. Another one I feel like.
Yes, yeah.
Some people would say it's not horror. I don't give a fuck. Dude, so.
Oh, no, it is horror.
It's horror.
It might be more psychological, but there is still some visceral action going on in there.
Dude, and I'm just going to say, the whole sequence of events that begins at the fucking restaurant.
Yes.
Dude, but even after that, like, and I remember saying this on this podcast after I saw it, and it was the last movie I saw in theaters this year. Elizabeth Moss made me feel claustrophobic and fucked up because I could feel the horror from her in that, like, she knows what happened. And she is telling people, even knowing that they're not going to fucking believe her. So there's all these layers to her tension and anxiety and terror. And it was such a nuanced and complicated performance. And it made the movie. But then also, like, the movie just, like, there were just some brilliant things like that restaurant scene that just really, like, fuck, man. I don't know. It was horrifying. And I even liked the way they explained everything in the end. Like, I thought that, and I thought for sure that was kind of where they were going to, like, shit the bed. Nope. It was so well done. I just loved it. And this is, I haven't seen it since. It's on HBO. I've been meaning to rewatch it, but it left such an impression. So then my number 6, another one Anthony also mentioned, The Lodge. Same thing. One of the last movies I saw in the theater, maybe the second to last. And like The Invisible Man, I haven't rewatched it, but that initial viewing was so. It just affected me in a way that I can still, if I think about it, if I close my eyes and think about just like sitting in the theater watching and certain scenes come to mind, and it's not really anything specific. A lot of it is just like very like isolatory landscape, snowbound type stuff. And I feel this like inner like cringe and claustrophobia. And man, The Lodge just, it was unbelievable. Number 5 is something I just heard about the other day and I watched, and I think it was Christmas Eve. It's a $6.99 rental on Prime. I can't recommend it enough. It's called Hunter x Hunter. I was telling you guys earlier, it would make a perfect double feature with Hold the Dark, the Jeremy Saulnier Netflix movie from like 2 years ago, which I also absolutely fucking love and watched like 3 times in a weekend. Hunter x Hunter is by Sean Linden. I think it's his first feature. This seems to be a fucking thing now where these guys come out of the gate with, not just guys, these just filmmakers come out of the gate with their first movie and it's like, oh my God, there's like no learning curve. Simple setup, but weird. It's like, I forget if it's Canada or upstate New York. It's a very desolate, forested area. And it's this family. It's a husband, wife, and like 10-year-old daughter. And they live in this fucking cabin. They don't have electricity. They eat by candlelight. They have an outhouse. And it's modern. It's either modern day or it's within the last like 20 years. They don't really say. And they hunt animals. They set traps, hunt animals, and they're fur traders. They go down to the local like convenience. It's not a convenience store like we think of it here, but like you'd see in one of these kind of areas.
General store.
Furs, huh?
A general store.
Yeah, in fact, that's what it is, a general store. Thank you. And they trade furs for food, and it's getting scarce because there's a wolf that is coming around, and so the traps catch their prey, and then the wolf basically like takes it, and like so they keep finding like paws to animals left in the fucking traps, but no animal because the wolf is just tearing the carcass out and taking it away and eating it. So the father is like, I'm going to kill this wolf. But there's something. So you hear a lot through this movie. This is not a normal wolf. I'm not saying anything else except it's not what you think it's going to be at all. And I just was riveted start to finish. It was fucking intense and awesome. And I just cannot say enough good things about it. I absolutely loved it. 4, Underwater. No need to talk about it anymore because we've already talked about it. 3, Spontaneous. Another one I just heard about 3 days ago. Watched it for that day and absolutely loved it.
This one I'm excited for. I'm actually currently downloading it based on your recommendation.
Dude, I can't wait to hear what you think. It is literally, I know this is like a cliche or whatever, and they actually kind of like make fun of it a little bit, this saying in the movie, but it gives you all the feels. Like it, and again, there'll be people that are like, it's not horror. It's definitely like YA, like young adult. Or I could care less. Like I became very invested in the characters, and it's just really, really good. It would make a good double feature with Anna and the Apocalypse, even though it's not a musical. But like can't say enough good things. And the funny thing is, okay, check this shit out. The director is Brian Duffield, who was a writer on Underwater, The Babysitter Killer Queen, and Love and Monsters, which I don't think any of us have seen yet. But
I did see that one.
Oh, you did?
I did see Love and Monsters. Mm-hmm.
Good.
If you got nothing to do on an afternoon,
okay,
lots of plot holes, but it's a movie.
Okay. It wasn't something that like I would have probably even seen had I not then like found out like, oh my God, this guy wrote a bunch of these movies. Like when I saw Underwater, I was like, really? And so, it's just one of these things where this was his year. He's had a bunch of projects, going for a couple years, and they just all happen to hit right now. 2, Possessor. Again, we talked about it. It just, I wish I could have seen it at the Egyptian. I think it would have been a better first viewing with the sound and whatnot. Not, Ray, your car, the sound is actually exquisite. When we did the drive-through thing for Beyond Fest. Okay, and then my number one by far. I have the Blu-ray. I can't wait to rewatch it. Maybe tonight. I don't know. Jeremy Gardner's After Midnight. I loved it. I already talked about it on this podcast. I won't belabor the point, but it's so well made. It's they do so much with so little, and I thought it was fucking fantastic. So yeah, that's it. For the Horror Vision Horror Podcast, I'm Sean.
I'm Ray.
And I'm Chris.
And for Anthony and Tori, we say good night and Godspeed.